Bartender Cheryl Richter is suing her former best friend, clerk Debbie Parker, for a series of unpaid loans. Debbie says the money was never a loan.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 296 on the calendar in the matter of Richter versus Parker. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Richter, you and the defendant were best friends, according to the complaint that I've read. You claim that you made a series of loans to her. She did not pay you back. As a result of that, you didn't have enough money to allow your daughter to be on the cheerleading squad. Ms. Parker says that you always made more money than she did. You were best friends. There was never any loan. You did things together, and you paid for it because you had more money.
Yes.
How long have you been friends?
Approximately 8 years.
And tell me about the first loan that you claim to have made.
Well, the first loan, I was approached in May of 2001. Debbie needed to attend a wedding out of state, and her credit cards were maxed out, so she needed to use mine to purchase the tickets for the airlines.
Who was supposed to go to the wedding?
Debbie and her daughter, Jessica.
Only the two of them?
Yes.
Was this
correct.
a wedding that you were supposed to attend as well?
I was approached about attending the wedding a few months earlier, and I had let Debbie know that I would not be unable to attend.
At the time you put her tickets on your credit card, had you already told her that you weren't going to the wedding?
Yes, I had already told her weeks before that I would not be attending.
And how much were those tickets?
The airline tickets were $500.
Let me see. Did you ask her to put your airline tickets on her credit card?
I told Cheryl that I wasn't going to be able to go to the wedding because I didn't have enough funds, and she offered to help me, but not with the understanding that I would pay her back. Cheryl has always helped me in the past, and if there was ever agreement to pay her back, I always have.
So you tell me your version of how it came about, because now I understand that she actually did pay for the tickets, and I want you to tell me how it came about.
How it came
Look
about,
at me.
Yes. How it came about was that myself and my daughter, Jessica, we were going to go with Cheryl and Lauren back to my niece's wedding. While we were back east, we were going to also go to New York, hang out, have some fun, and we've gone on vacations many times before. When the time came closer to purchase the tickets, Cheryl did tell me that she could not go. I think she had something going on with her daughter, but it wasn't very early on in the planning. It was fairly close, maybe a month or two before we were going to go.
A month or two was not very close. Not the last minute, as you indicate in your answer to me. Say at the last minute she canceled out. She did not cancel out at the last minute. She canceled out at least a month before.
It could have been a month before.
She didn't cancel out. She said, I'm not going. Go ahead.
Right.
And you said?
I said, okay. And I hung up. Went on with my couple of weeks before I was getting ready to go. When I was going to make airline arrangements for myself and my daughter, I found that I did not have the funds at that time. And I called Cheryl and we talked. She offered to put this...
No, talking. Tell me what you did when you called her.
But it wasn't unusual for us to call each other.
You just told me you called her.
Right. I called her. We talked on the phone.
What did you say to her and what did she say to you?
We probably said, how's Lauren doing? I don't remember the exact conversation word by word, but I did tell her that I didn't think I was going to be able to go because I didn't have the funds. Cheryl offered to put it on her credit card.
Okay. And you have to pay her back.
This isn't unusual.
No good deed is... Shh, be quiet.
In the past, if she has ever lent me any money, I have always paid her back.
Listen to me, my dear. Listen to me, my dear. This was your niece's wedding.
Yes.
Your answer suggested that this was a wedding that you were both supposed to go to, that at the last minute she canceled out. She had put all the tickets on her credit card. She said, I'm not going. But for the fact that you were going together as a group, you wouldn't have gone at all. That's not really what happened. What happened is she gave you plenty of notice. I'm not going to the wedding. I have something else to do. A month or two in advance. You were going to put it on your credit card. You didn't have enough credit on your credit card. You pick up the phone, you call her, because that's what you just started to tell me.
Yes.
You have to pay her back. What's the next loan for?
After she returned from the wedding, approximately a week later, she called me and told me that she needed to borrow some cash to pay bills either towards her rent or utilities or what have you. She needed $500 and wanted to know if I would be able to lend that to her. I said that I would, and outside of the airline tickets, there's the hotel expenses on there as well when she went to the wedding. And I went to her house and I brought her a check, and she still told me that she would be paying me back within about approximately 2 months.
Do you have a copy of that check?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Okay. Let's hear about it, Miss Parker.
Up until right now, when she just handed you the check, I did not remember that. I did not remember about $500. I was going to come here and tell you I didn't owe it because I didn't remember.
Yeah, I see
it
in your answer that you say that she never gave you any cash. Okay. What else?
Then after that, we went to a concert.
After
in
that, when?
September, Labor Day weekend. The four of us, I purchased all 4 concert tickets and was to be reimbursed for the concert tickets as well as the charges on the credit card and the $500.
How much were the concert tickets?
Each ticket was $56.25, so it was $102.50 for the 2 concert tickets.
What about the concert tickets?
In August, we met at Islands to celebrate my daughter's birthday. She told me that weekend she had tickets to go to a concert, and she invited us to go. We went. She never said anything about paying her back. She was a good friend of mine.
Was a good friend. A good friend doesn't borrow money and
Well, then
not
why
pay
didn't you
it
ever
back.
say anything? I mean, our children talked online for a year, and she never said anything to me about this. And also, they invited us to her house for 4th of July. And what was that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't have that kind of money either, so I had to use the fundraising.
We could have raised the funds to pay.
You could have asked.
Listen
You
to
could
me.
have just said something to me.
Ladies.
Instead of waiting a year and then
Miss
doing this
Parker.
to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cheryl Richter claims former friend Debbie Parker owes for several unpaid loans. Cheryl says her daughter can't be a cheerleader until Debbie repays the money.
Miss Parker, let me ask you this question. What do you think
I don't
precipitated
know.
this? Maybe it was because she felt taken advantage of. If you didn't
If she
remember
would have just said one word to me like, I need help, can you help me?
Well, when was the first time she told you that she wanted you to give her this money back?
On July 5th of this year,
Yes.
I received a letter. I tried to contact her to make some type of arrangements. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. She never returned my calls.
And you can't think of any reason that happened.
I was hoping to find out from her why she's doing this to me, why
Okay.
she's standing there lying.
No, there's no lying. There's no lying.
When we
You did,
went
in
to-
fact, listen to me, Miss Parker. You did, in fact, borrow $500. You said to me, I didn't remember it until I saw the
Yes,
check.
that's
Okay.
true.
So it's $500, and it's well over a year. You never paid her back. But there had to be something, July 4th, something must have triggered it. I read her complaint. She says what triggered it was she didn't have money to sign her daughter up for cheerleading.
That's correct. And in fact, when we went to the concert in September, first of all, Debbie did acknowledge that she owed the money. She told me she had forgot her checkbook. And she told me that she was sorry that she hadn't paid me back yet. And she was coming over the next night for dinner. And when she came over that night, she was out of checks.
That's not true.
And then I ran into her after that in October, I believe, having dinner and drinks with coworkers. My daughter ran into her at the mall shopping at Christmas. And
Right.
in April of 2002, when my daughter was to try out for an all-star cheer squad, she went to the practices. She was approached by the coach. She was a year too young for the squad, but because her abilities were up to the level of the squad members, they would make an allowance. Well, I wasn't able to allow her to try out because I found out the cost was $2,000
$2,000 to try out for cheerleaders?
for the entire year, including travel expenses. They're a top-ranked team in the nation, so they go to Texas and Florida for nationals. It would be for all the training as well as all of the uniforms.
Did you have to come up with the $2,000 up front?
Within a few weeks, so there was no time for me to fundraise to try to raise that money. So the coach called me the day of tryouts inquiring about whether or not she was going to try out. I just told the coach owner that I didn't know. I was embarrassed to tell her that I couldn't afford it.
Okay, so you got irritated. I
got
it.
irritated. Plus, Debbie's daughter, Jessica, is on a cheer squad, and she was able to find the $1,500 for her to participate last year and is once again on that cheer squad. Yet
Gotcha.
I'm saying no to my daughter because of
I
the
got you.
debt.
Gotcha.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I saw Cheryl, yes, out when I was at a restaurant with her girlfriend. Cheryl came in, no problem. Hey, we hugged. I go, my God, you look great. You just got back from Tahiti. She wasn't angry with me. She didn't say a word to me about any of this.
Something happened. I have
What?
a sense that whatever happened.
Maybe it was this whole thing about cheerleading, but let me tell you, please, I didn't pay a penny for her to go on cheerleading. So
Talk to
you
me.
should get your facts right.
Talk to me. Talk to
I
me.
didn't pay a penny.
Did she have a scholarship?
No, I fundraised. I sold entertainment books to get her on the cheerleading squad at her high
Okay.
school. Because I don't have that kind of money either, so I had
Okay.
to use the fundraising.
We could have raised the funds to pay.
No.
You could have
Different-
asked.
Listen
You
to
could
me.
have just said something
ladies,
to me.
ladies.
Instead of waiting a year and then
Miss
doing this
Parker,
to me.
Miss Parker, shh. Please don't fight with each other. Gone beyond that. Just think about this. She can't fundraise to pay you back.
I understand that.
You understand that. And it's really unfortunate that a friendship denigrated to where we are. I have a feeling it is about the cheerleading. She's told you that she didn't have the money, that she fundraised. You didn't have time to do that. And I assume that it has to do with your kids, because nothing could make a mother get the tentacles out.
I just feel that this debt was not a priority to her. She found
May not have
had the
been.
time and the effort
It
to...
may not have been.
But she owes me the money, and it doesn't
She
matter.
owes you the money.
It doesn't matter if I make more money. It doesn't matter if I make less money. She owes me the money.
You are absolutely 100% right. There is no faster way of destroying a friendship than lending money. Period. I'm much older than you ladies are, and I'm telling you, based upon what I've seen, the one who lends the money always ends up as the bad one. They want it back. It's not a good time. They don't need it right now. Why is she doing this, or why is he doing this to me?
Can I say
There's-
something, Your Honor?
It's not going to make it any better with her. She wants her money. She's angry. She's entitled to her money. I don't know if you can ever repair. Are you two kids friends?
Not really.
Say no. She says,
I thought we talked to her
Probably.
online.
She doesn't
It's
talk to her
not
online. She
anymore.
doesn't.
oh,
She
well,
can speak.
that's
You
sad.
haven't?
Shh.
We just talked. She just talked to her, and I told her about my daughter's medical problem, and she said, "What a bummer."
Okay.
I cannot believe that you would sit in here and lie, Lauren. I can't
I
believe
wouldn't
that.
be accusing anybody of lying.
She's going to lie
I don't
that
want
she
to hear
just
about
talked
it
to
anymore. You're
Jessica.
going to 1, 2, 3.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cheryl Richter claims former friend Debbie Parker owes for several unpaid loans. Cheryl says her daughter can't be a cheerleader until Debbie repays the money.
Listen, your emotions are hot. That's very sad, because the girls aren't friends anymore, you're not friends anymore. That's what happens when you lend money, when you borrow money, unless you have an agreement. I've always said, if you're going to be a lender, at least put it in writing. Then everybody knows the parameters. Don't be embarrassed. You have to say, listen, Judge Judy Scheindlin said, even though we're best friends, even though we're brother and sister, even though we're cousins, we really should have a writing. That way, everybody knows where they're at. Do you understand? Because they're sad. They're unhappy. They used to be friends. And it is sad. I'm not going to be able to fix it except to say that you're entitled to your money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't like this because me and Jessica aren't friends anymore because our parents have a disagreement. Well, me and her were like best friends, and I don't know, it's just unfortunate that we're not going to be able to be friends.
I really want to be friends with Jessica again.
Well, I know it won't happen, but I just want to be friends with her again.
Homemaker Jackie Bremsey is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Correctional Officer Jacqueline Griffin. Jackie claims Jacqueline's son, 10-year-old Donald, broke her daughter's nose in a fight.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 410 on the calendar in the matter of Bremsey versus Griffin.
Thanks, Barry.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Young people, have seats.
All right, let's talk very briefly. You two moms don't know anything about what happened at school on the day of this incident when your daughter's nose was broken. But it is your claim that the defendant's son assaulted your daughter, broke her nose, and you want to be compensated for the unreimbursed medical bills that you sustained.
That's correct.
Mrs. Griffin says that her son was merely defending himself, that your daughter started the fight, and she is not responsible. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you two ladies sit down, and I'm going to see these two young people right up here. What's your first name?
Kiara,
And yours?
Donald.
I'm going to start with Donald. Now, Donald, you know that you punched Kiara in the face, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And her nose, according to her mother, was broken. So I want you to tell me why you did that.
I got to school that morning, and kids had came up and said, Kiara called your mom a low down dirty. Okay.
Okay. So somebody came up to you and told you
Yes, ma'am.
that Kiara had called your mom a nasty name.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
Okay, Kiara, she was on a field trip, and she came back, and I guess the kids had already told her. And we was...
Okay. Were you on a field trip that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a conversation with somebody when you came back from the field trip?
Yes, I did.
Who did you have a conversation with?
My friend that I was standing next to.
And what's your friend's name?
Tony.
And what was the conversation about with Tony?
We were talking about things that we were going to do on the playground, not about me calling his mother a name.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why would you call his mother a name?
I don't know, but I didn't.
Didn't say anything bad about his mother?
No, ma'am.
Well, what happened after you had this conversation with this gal who was telling you about these bad things that she was saying about your mom?
It was around lunchtime, okay? I guess she had already came back, and it's a breezeway that you walk down and go to the playground. And I walked up to Kiara and I asked her, and then she kicked me and she said, I didn't say nothing about your mom. And then I punched her in the face.
So what you're saying is she kicked you first?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did she kick you?
In the growing area. She tried to.
She what?
She tried to kick me in my growing area.
But she didn't kick you?
She kicked me, but I had blocked it so she could not
kick you
in that spot.
Okay, so she kicked in your direction, but you didn't come together.
She kicked, but I blocked it. Okay. Okay, and so then I punched her, and she had a jump rope. It's red, white, and blue. Okay, like the American flag. And she hit me in the head with it. And then by that time, we just started fighting. And then Miss Porter, she saw the fight. And then by that time, she came, took us to the office. And then Kiara's mom came. And then they went in the office.
Donald says that you tried to kick him. Is that true?
Yes, it is true, but I did not kick him.
But you tried to kick him. Why did you try to kick him?
That was after the fact of the fight, not when the fight started.
Well, you tell me now, Kiara, how the fight started.
He came to me and said, what'd you call my mama? And I said, I didn't call your mama nothing. And then he pushed me and I pushed him back.
He pushed you? How did he push you?
Real hard, like this, pushing me back or something, and up against the wall. And I pushed him back, and then he came in my face. He grabbed my hair, pulling my hair down, and then punched me in my face, just keep on one side of my face. Then he started punching me in my nose about 10 times, I should say. And then Shayla went to go get a teacher, and he ran off to the playground like did nothing happen.
Had you ever had trouble with Donald before?
No, ma'am.
Had you ever had trouble with Kiara before?
No, ma'am.
Well, maybe this other young girl who was telling you the stories was just making things up. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why would you believe her?
I went to her and asked her, and she kicked me, and then I punched her.
I don't believe that. No, Donald.
I went to her and asked her.
No, Donald. I don't believe that you asked her, and in response to your asking her, she kicked you.
Yes.
Don't believe that, Donald. Doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right to me, Donald. Sounds like a good story you might tell your mother, but it doesn't sound truthful to me. Have you ever had trouble scrapping in school before? What are you looking up for? You're not that old that you have to remember.
With one boy. With a boy? Yeah.
Once before?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you lose your temper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to you in school when you lost your temper?
We started fighting on the playground.
How many fights have you had in school?
None.
Didn't think so. So, Donald.
Now?
You see how you know how to be a polite young man?
Yes, ma'am.
You got to carry that over to the outside world, Donald. You understand, Mrs. Griffin? He wasn't telling you the truth. She didn't kick him first. He got angry. And he got angry, Mrs. Griffin, because somebody told him that she had called you a bad name.
May I?
Sure. Go ahead.
I really don't know exactly what went on in this incident, but prior to this, the kids were calling one another. They supposedly were secretly liking each other. This child called my house numerous times.
So?
They liked each other, so I figured it was just a little disagreement between maybe a little girlfriend and boyfriend, and that's how it started. I don't really know how it went.
All right, Miss Griffin, let me go back a second. What I don't want you to do is to make excuses for Donald.
Oh, no, there's no excuse.
Okay.
None.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald. So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology. You start with her.
And later today,
Your son is an alcoholic. He's not providing for his family. She has a baby and 2 other children, and you're suing her for a deep freeze? Where is your brain?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jackie Breamsey says 10-year-old Donald Griffin punched her daughter in the face, breaking her nose. Donald says she called his mom a bad name.
All right, Miss Griffin, Donald was told by someone, a gossip,
True.
that this young lady said something bad about you. Now, she says she didn't say it, so that could have been just a troublemaker.
That's true.
But your son has a short fuse, because he's been in trouble for fighting before. And what he would naturally do is not go over to Kiera and have just a discussion with her. He would be angry. Doesn't strike me as being logical that if he went over to her and said, "Did you call my mommy a name?" and her response would be to kick him in the groin. That doesn't sound logical to me. What sounds logical is he might have said to her, "Did you call my mommy a name?" And she said, "No, I didn't." And then he hit her or pushed her, put his hands on her. That's logical. And that's what happened. And it's all because he listened to somebody who was gossiping. Do you understand, Donald?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to spend the next few years with your mom having to come defending you in court, do you?
No, ma'am.
Because that's not pleasant for you and especially for your mother. Okay, step up, Miss Breamsey. Tell me about your nose. What happened to your nose, Kiera?
It was broken. He punched me in it a lot of times.
Tell me what it felt like.
It felt like it was hurting really bad. It was getting swollen up. And
You have any pictures? See, you have some pictures there. I'd like to see them. How old are you, Donald?
10.
Looks to me like you punched her in the eye, too. Did you do that, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Breamsey, how much were your out-of-pocket expenses? Because it's hard for me to tell. It looks like they were $165.
That's correct, and $10 for the radiologist.
You have to take care of that, Donald, which means your mother has to take care of it. Does your mother make a lot of money?
Close to. Yes, ma'am.
You think your mother... Look at your mother. You think your mother makes a lot of money?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? Miss Griffin, you make a lot of money?
I doubt it.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a correctional officer.
Your mother works very hard and does not make a lot of money. She doesn't have a lot of money to go around getting you out of scrapes. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're very lucky that Miss Breamsey only wants her unreimbursed medical bills, because I don't think she wants to hurt your mother. Believe me, if you were older, she'd want a lot more. You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have money to go around to buy you out of these scrapes. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology, because your mother's going to have to come up with this money for you. You start with her.
I'm sorry.
You mean it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope Dawn has learned something from this.
She told him she didn't like him at all.
Never pay attention to other students.
no, we're not friends. And he did like me.
If they hit you, you hit them back, but you're not supposed to hit them, though.
She's got nude pictures of herself laying all over Houston.
If he wouldn't have come in here and tried to lie, I'm sure things could have been worked out.
She was trying to act like a good girl. We got pictures right here showing she was a bad girl, butt naked and stuff.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Robert versus Josephowski, step forward, please.
Student Kathy Robert is suing her former friend, freelance event coordinator Marion Josephowski, for the value of her pets. Marion is countersuing for harassment and lost wages.
Miss Robert, the defendant was a friend of yours, according to you, and agreed to do some pet sitting for you.
That's correct.
And according to you, she sold your pets to a local pet store. You want to be compensated for the pets. The defendant says that she did, in fact, agree to watch your animals for you for a day. It ended up being 3 weeks. She couldn't keep them anymore. She is counterclaiming, alleging harassment. So why don't you tell me when and under what circumstances she agreed to do this pet sitting for you?
She agreed originally to do it for me on July 8th. I came over and left my animals on July 16th. It was supposed to be...
Okay. What kind of animals were they?
I had 3 birds, 1 bunny, and a small fish aquarium.
3 birds, 1 rabbit, and 1 fish tank?
Small aquarium, yes.
Well, what was in the aquarium?
Some guppies.
Is this just a bowl?
Mm-hmm, a bowl.
So you're talking about a fish bowl, hardly an aquarium.
No.
3 birds, what kind of birds?
A plumhead parakeet and a white-faced cockatiel and a albino parakeet.
Why did you tell her you needed her to watch the animals for you?
I was moving out and my apartment wasn't ready yet, and I couldn't put the animals where I was going to be staying, so she agreed to take care of them, and I gave her $50 to do that.
Did she give you $50?
No, ma'am. She gave me $25, a check which she asked me not to cash for several days, which I complied with.
Does that sound right to you?
No, because she had a closed bank account and I couldn't give her a check, so I gave her cash on different times.
That's not true.
What do you mean you gave her cash at different times?
I gave her $25 initially, and then whenever I would come over to visit, I'd give her $10.
All right, so initially you did give her $25.
Initially.
Okay. Now, you brought the animals over on the 16th?
Correct.
Then what happened?
And then I came over to visit once a week. She knew that she would be watching the birds for about 3.5 weeks.
Don't tell me what you knew. Did she come over once a week?
About that.
Fine. How many weeks did you visit?
3.
When did you tell her you wanted the animals back?
I had asked her if she could watch them till about August 15th, but she said that she needed me to come pick them up about August 8th. So I said, okay. And I tried to call her August 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Never got a phone call back from her at all.
Well, when was the last time you had visited your animals?
I believe it was July 31st, and I went over on July 31st, and my bunny wasn't there. She said that the bunny was being cared for by her ex-husband, which we later found out was a lie. They were over at her little girl's friend's house, and we went there approximately 6 weeks later and picked it up from the little girl's friend's house.
Okay, so the bunny you got back?
The bunny I got back, and I bought back 1 bird from the pet store.
Bunny you now have?
The bunny I have.
What happened with the birds? Because it's the birds that we're talking about.
Well, Your Honor, she did ask me to watch them, but it was only for, quote, a few days at the most.
Okay, but she came to visit. According to what you just testified to, she would come once a week. So you knew it was more than 1 day, because that's what you say in your answer.
Initially, it was 1 to 3 days.
Okay, but it turned out to be more than that.
Correct.
And you knew it was more than that because she came to visit once a week, according to you.
Right.
You said that. So why did you give away her animals?
Because I told her, each time she came to visit me, I told her that she needed to pick them up by the 12th. By the 12th of August, I needed them gone because my landlord did not allow me to have pets. And she said, if I can't have...
Would you look at me?
If I can't have a place for them to stay, then can you find someone to watch them for me? And so I found someone else to take care of them, and they, in turn, got rid of the birds. I did not. I just did what she asked me to do.
Who did you give the birds to?
A friend.
Give me the friend's name.
Jeff is his name.
And you gave Jeff the birds when?
On the 14th, when I was moving out. After I waited for her to come, and she did not because my door was ajar open all day because I was fixing the door so that I could move out and get my deposit
Your
back.
Honor, I was there on the 15th, and she told me that the birds were at her mother's house, and she gave me a fake phone number. I was there the day after she's saying that.
She told you that the birds were at her mother's house?
Yep.
Did you ever find out what happened to the birds?
I found one of them in a pet store, and I have no idea what happened to the plumhead. I have no idea.
How did you find one of the birds in a pet store?
I heard them arguing in the background. I called up once, and she said, well, I really don't have your birds. Jeff really has them. And she started arguing with Jeff in the background, and he goes, well, I can't get them back. I sold them to Birdland.
All right, you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am. Kathy called everyone I know, telling them that if they ever wanted to see me alive again, that they should tell me to give her birds back. And she also threatened my family. She told me, just give me your laptop and I will leave you and your family alone.
You offered to give me your laptop.
She told my daughter that she was going to come to her school if I didn't give her anything in return for her birds being sold, which she knew that I did not sell.
That's not true.
And threatening me, and she made me lose a babysitting job I had because I had a 3-year-old there, and she was screaming at my face. She was right here telling me she was going to trash my car and she wasn't going to leave us alone. And
you had no right to give anybody her animals. This isn't a situation where she left these animals with you, totally unattended. She never came back. I'm speaking. The $25 that she gave you more than covered any food for 3 birds and a rabbit for 3 weeks. So there's no question that you didn't have any out-of-pocket expenses, even if she didn't give you any more money. I mean, bird seed and rabbit food, $25 worth goes a very, very long way. So what you had to do was just return them to her and get them out of your house.
But she asked me, Your Honor.
You chose not to do that. You chose to give them to somebody who was unreliable. No. That's boyfriend Jeff.
Excuse me, Your
And
Honor.
if Jeff, no, now you
me,
listen to me. And if Jeff sold them, you are responsible. You agreed to take care of her pets, and you chose not to do that.
Until a certain time, Your Honor.
No,
she
you
agreed.
chose not to do that.
She agreed to pick them up on the 12th, Your Honor.
And you chose a path that was wrong, because you had another path that you could have chosen, which was to take the animals, 3 birds, because you already didn't have the rabbit, and take them to where she was living and say,
I did not know
here
where
they
she was
are,
living.
then pick up the phone and call her.
I knew her for 3 weeks before all this happened. She just starts dumping her stuff and all of her pets on me, and I was just trying to help her.
She didn't dump anything on you, madam. According to you, she would come by once a week to visit them. You told me that. That's what you told me for 3 weeks.
And
that's what you told me. So this wasn't just here, take my animals and I'll come and get them when I want to. She gave them to you. She did the responsible thing. She gave them to you with money. Then she came once a week to see them and probably gave you an extra couple of bucks too, although you don't acknowledge that.
However,
even if she didn't, she gave you enough to take care of them. You had a responsibility to do the right thing. You did not. She's going to get what she asks for, which is $560. And as far as your counterclaim is concerned, you didn't do the right thing. You don't get a penny for harassment. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is lying about many things, including the money, including the dates, everything.
I wish I could have found out what happened to my birds. In actuality, I still want the plumhead back, but I guess that's not going to happen.
She thought she could pull this out of her hat and just get money from me.
I never threatened her children. Never.
Model Sherry Eckert is suing her ex-boyfriend, guitar player Mark Zavon, for unpaid loans and rent. Mark is countersuing, claiming Sherry sabotaged his career.
Order. All rise. Bless you. Your Honor, this is case number 380 on the calendar in the matter of Eckert versus Zavon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Eckert, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. You claim that you loaned him some money during that time, and he owes you a month's rent because when he left, he didn't give you notice, and pursuant to your agreement, he should have given you a month's notice. Mr. Zavon says that he did borrow some money from you, not as much as you are claiming, and he would have paid you back, except that because of your actions, he lost his job, he had no way to pay you back, and that you kept some of his personal property, and he has a counterclaim. When did you live together? From when to when?
April 18th, 2001 to November 2nd, 2001.
Now, what were these loans for?
Actually, he was behind on some bills, and he had asked me to pay them for him, and I agreed as long as he signed something saying that he would pay me back, which he did.
Let me see what he signed.
I'd like to see that as well.
Absolutely.
It seems as though it's been changed.
It has been changed to less than it was.
Okay.
If you look very carefully, it's been changed to, I looked at that myself. It's been changed to a lesser amount.
Those
not
aren't
a
my initials, by the way.
That's your signature, however. I've
That
compared
is
it
my
with the
signature.
signature on the answer. That is your signature.
It is.
So now you remember signing that agreement.
I did.
Good. Now may I have it, please?
But not for that amount.
No, not true, sir. Because the original amount on this was some $1,500 and some odd dollars, and that was changed because the Sprint bill was not $200 and some odd dollars, but only $115. So it was reduced. You see that? It was reduced, not increased.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. You signed it. How much of this did you pay?
At the time, I wasn't able to pay.
Not at the time. At any time. How much of this did you pay?
$400.
Okay. Is that how much you paid back?
He paid back $350.
All right, he said $400. You have proof of $400?
Yes, I do. I have canceled checks. I also paid in money orders, and I don't have the receipts for those.
Okay.
But I'll be honest and say he did pay me $350, even though he doesn't have the proof of that.
Okay. $1,130. That's what's left.
Correct.
On the debt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're suing him for $2,028. Explain that to me.
Actually, on the lease agreement he signed, it says that he must give me a 30-day, 1-month notice prior to moving out. And when
Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
His friend actually moved in at the same time, and they both had the same agreement.
I asked you a question. I want you to give me the answer. Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
We all moved in at the exact same time, basically.
Are you still living in the same place?
Yes, I am.
With whom?
I have roommates now.
Okay. Now, you left, sir, November 2nd?
Yes, that's correct.
2001. Does your lease agreement provide that you give her 30 days notice?
Yes, it does.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because she caused me to lose my job and sabotaged my career.
Okay, now let me hear your reason why she caused you to lose your job.
Okay. At the time, I had a job, a regular job, as a guitar player in a successful rock band. We were touring and we were on the East Coast, and I borrowed the money from her because our singer had an accident and broke a rib. I didn't have any money to pay the bill at the time, and so she offered to pay it, and I accepted. She said that I could pay her back when I had the money. However, over the next few months, she became very jealous, and it started getting really out of hand. She started calling me nonstop. She started going through my mail. She started going down my phone bill and calling every number on the phone bill. As a matter of fact, I have a phone bill here where her notes are evident, where she was looking for whether it would be a man or a woman answering the phone, and whether or not she would approve.
I still don't understand how she caused you to lose your job.
She was very jealous, and so when I was out on the road touring with a rock band, there are inherently situations that arise where women can get crazy, and she was aware of this, and she became very jealous, and she wanted me to come back to Los Angeles really bad. So what she did was she started to call the singer's wife.
Did you call the singer's wife?
She's a close friend of mine.
What kind of conversation did you have with her?
I asked her if she had heard from her husband because Mark hadn't called me in a week, and he was my boyfriend at the time, and I was very concerned and worried because I had just gone through his pants pocket and found a phone number from a girl, which I called, who is a dancer, a stripper in New Orleans. And I spoke to her on the phone, and she did confirm, you know, that she had been talking to Mark, and she actually forwarded me the emails that Mark had sent her. So it did actually confirm that he was
Okay, so what did you
cheating on me.
call this woman for?
She's just my friend. I just wanted to know if she had heard from them. I was trying to call him and contact him because we were in a relationship. So if I hadn't heard from him in 3 days, I was very upset. I was seeing, you know, I was under stress, and I was seeing, you know, I had lost some of my hair because of stress. I mean, it was just very, very bad. But he actually, after I found out,
how did that cause you to lose your job?
She's told her so many stories that she finally, the singer's wife that is, finally started to call the singer and tell him that she was filing for divorce, she was going to take their daughter, and that he would never see them again. And in order to keep the peace in his family, he had to let me go. I would have done the same thing.
That's true, sir. That's a lot above my system.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you borrow her pants? Don't tell me I don't want to hear
Yes, I borrowed them.
All right, now, when did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah.
Oh, God, give me strength.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Eckert says ex-boyfriend Mark Zavon owes for rent and for unpaid loans. Mark says Sherry is holding his belongings.
All right. You all moved into this apartment together? Is
That's
that
correct.
right? And each of you were to pay $500 a month?
That's correct.
Each?
Yes.
Okay. So he owes you $1,630. He didn't give you a month's notice. That's so far. You have a counterclaim, sir, for $5,000. You claim that she caused you to lose your job.
That's correct.
That would be the reason that you just gave me, that you called the singer's wife and complained and told her a whole bunch of stories. Which,
Yeah, he was very happy. Excuse me.
That the singer is not here, the wife is not here.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's all hearsay. That's somewhere out here that I don't hear. All right, now the next thing that you're counterclaiming for is personal property that you say that she sold at a garage sale. What's the nature of the personal property?
Well, it's basically things like a mountain bike, camping gear, grill.
Why didn't you take that with you when you moved out?
At the time, I had just flown back from Battle Creek, Michigan. They dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, you know. So I had to find my way back to Los Angeles, and I had a U-Haul. I went to get my stuff.
So you got a U-Haul?
Yes, I did. And I started to load my stuff into the truck, at which point Sherry came home, and she started to throw my stuff out into the driveway and damage my stuff, and I was just trying to get out of there as fast as possible. I just wanted to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I did my best to get everything I could.
Yeah.
But I was unable to get everything.
That was in November of 2001. Is that right?
And I've tried to get my stuff back since then.
Well, what have you done?
I asked her if she would give me my stuff back, and she said that she would if I paid her the money that I owed her. So I began paying her some money in order to get my stuff back. But I never received one thing. She would say that she would give me the stuff back and then she would change her mind. And I never did get one thing back.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, actually, the camping gear he's talking about is a sleeping bag, which I purchased. Here's the receipt. And
you purchased it for whom?
For when we were going to go on a camping trip, but it was been returned. It got returned within the same week.
It was a gift.
So when he's talking about camping gear, it's something I own. The things that he's talking about are my things. He got everything that out of there.
Just a second. Let me see your list. Let me see your list.
The bike, I don't even know what he's talking about. He never left a bike or any property there. There's nothing there.
Mountain bike, space heater?
I never saw it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Weight bench?
That's actually Todd's, his friend's weight bench. It's not his.
What about the incline bench?
That's also Todd's. That's not Mark's.
I don't know what she's talking about. This is all my property.
No. Well, then, I feel like he had a U-Haul that was a huge truck, and before I got home, he had the whole thing packed. So I don't know why he didn't just take anything that he felt was left behind.
I don't know either. And I don't know why. And I don't know why he waited for a year to come after all this stuff. Anyway, in any event, you didn't pay any rent. Is that right?
I paid rent right up until the time that I was
No, you didn't pay any rent after you moved out, did you?
No, I did not.
Right, then you should have come to get all this stuff.
I tried to, but she wouldn't let me come over, and I didn't want to come over if it...
Then what you do is you go to court.
That's
do you understand?
true. Yes,
what you do is you sue. What do you expect her to do? Hold on to all this stuff for a year?
I tried to get it back continuously.
Then what you tried by going to court, just like you did now.
I understand.
And you do so promptly.
Yes, ma'am.
It's easy. It's easy for her. She's got an IOU. IOU makes it easy. A lease makes it easy. But you don't leave a whole bunch of stuff, if this is your property, for a year and then say, oh, by the by, I want my property back. So you forget about that. You owe her $1,630. Isn't that what I said? $1,630?
$1,630.
Pay the money. Goodbye.
Please excuse. You may step out.
It was a jealous nightmare.
His unfaithfulness and his cheating and his liaisons with groupies on the tour bus actually was the breaking point of the relationship.
She really didn't like the whole idea of someone being out on the road.
He couldn't stay faithful.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Prather versus Price. Step forward.
Teacher Mark Prather is suing 13-year-old student Darius Price and his father, Fred Price. Mark claims Darius keyed his car.
Mr. Prather, it is your claim that I assume this young man, whose name is Darius,
Yes,
keyed your car.
that's correct.
And so you want his father to be responsible since Darius is a minor. How old are you, Darius?
13 years old.
Tell me where this happened and tell me why he keyed your car.
Your Honor, this happened July 23rd, 2002 on my street, and I had my trunk open. There was a bunch of kids playing, including Darius, who had a big stick and was playing around. He made me a little nervous because he had the big stick. They weren't playing stickball or anything, so I kind of kept my eye on him. The defendant here, Darius, struck up a conversation with me. He said, "Nice car, buddy," and I knew he was ironic, being sarcastic with his tone.
He said, "Nice car, buddy."
Basically.
Go ahead.
I said, "Don't patronize me," and that was the end of that. And then the next morning, my car was keyed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, other than what you've told me, what proof do you have that he did it?
Well, I have I have two witnesses here and a notarized statement from a witness that couldn't make it today.
I don't take notarized statements, so I will take a witness if you have a witness here. Who is your witness?
Well, I have two witnesses, Deshaun, Joey.
These two young men?
Yes.
Okay. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Deshaun Harris.
Deshaun, how old are you?
12.
And your name?
Joel Simmons.
How old are you, Joel?
10 years old.
Okay, Deshaun. Did you see Darius do anything to Mr. Prather's car?
No.
You did not?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation with Darius about doing anything to Mr. Prather's car?
No.
Did he ever admit to you that he did anything to Mr. Prather's car?
No.
Sit down. All right, Joel, I'm going to ask you the same questions. Did you see Darius do anything to Mr. Prather's car?
Yes.
What did you see Darius do to the car?
He had 5 Cadillac keys, and he scratched up this stolen truck.
Is that your car?
No, Your Honor. There was a black pickup truck that was also keyed that was impounded in a Cleveland impound lot outside. I had pictures. I have pictures of my car as damaged here.
Okay. Joel, did you see Darius key Mr. Prather's car?
No.
But you saw him key a black truck?
Yes.
Did you ever tell anybody else that?
Yes, only my mother and my grandma and my uncle.
So you told your mother that you saw Darius key the black truck?
Yes.
And you're sure that you didn't see him key Mr. Prather's car?
Yes, I'm sure.
Do you know what color Mr. Prather's car was?
It was red.
Is that right?
Yes.
You never saw him go near the red car?
Nope. Because he had a big old stick walking down the street with it. He said he was a bad boy walking down the street.
He was showing off with the stick?
Was a big
acting foolish?
Yeah.
Sit down. You understand the problem, Mr. Prather?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, I can't help you unless I speak to Darius, and Darius tells me that he keyed your car. Did you key his car?
No, ma'am.
Did you key the black car?
No, ma'am.
Well, you think that Joel is lying?
Yes.
No, he's not. What were you doing walking down the street with a stick?
I didn't have a stick. I had a bike chain.
A what?
An old bike chain in my hand.
Well, what were you doing with an old bike chain in your hand?
Because Joey needed a bike chain to fix his bike.
So you weren't walking down the street acting like a big shot?
No, ma'am.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe it's true. Anyway, you have no proof, sir. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's clear he was caught into a lie. He did key the other car because my witnesses saw him do that.
I don't know why he singled me out and there was a whole bunch of boys around his car.
I didn't pick him. He picked me. He created the conversation.
It was upsetting because he said it was a group of people, and he just picked my son out of the group.
I tried to get this taken care of outside of court. Mr. Price did not cooperate.
I'm glad it's over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Osterman versus Porter. Step forward, please.
Production manager Jean Osterman is suing her children's father, landscaper Lyman Porter. Jean says Lyman sold the children's toys behind their backs.
Miss Osterman, the defendant is your former husband, and according to your complaint, he sold some property that belonged to you and to one of your children. You want to be reimbursed for that property. Mr. Porter says that the property he sold was his. He had a right to sell it.
Yes.
When were you divorced?
1994.
And did the children remain with you?
Yes, we have joint custody.
What property did Mr. Porter take?
He came to my residence and took a trampoline that he had given them summer of 2001.
Is that right, Mr. Porter?
No, ma'am.
What was the trampoline doing at her house?
I had 2 trampolines, same size, and fixed them up. And we live close to each other, so where they reside, they have a pool, so I figured I can give them one of the trampolines to use for the summer. Because, like now, they outgrew it because of all their activities and things.
Well, you say that you just put it in this past summer. How could they outgrow it in 3 months?
They didn't use it. And I've already replaced the tarp and had the other one restitched. And, you know, receipts to show everything that I've done to take care of
I
them.
don't care whether you've done that, sir. The point of the matter is you can't go to her house and take things off her property without her permission.
I got permission. She wasn't home. I talked to her husband and got permission.
Really? Are you the husband? Step up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe you're just thick or maybe you're simple. You have 2 children. You're not supposed to do anything to purposely hurt your children. Now do you understand? No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jean Osterman claims her ex-husband, Lyman Porter, sold their children's toys without permission.
Go ahead.
I was working at home and the dogs were barking, and I came down and met Mr. Porter at the front of the house, and he come over and he had said that he had sold the trampoline and that he had come over to take it down. And because my wife had told me not to get involved with the situations between her ex-husband and her, I said, okay, fine. So I went in the house and tried to get a hold of my wife and couldn't get a hold of her. So she called about 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, he was already gone. And she said by no means for him to take it.
You told him he could? Your wife told you not to get involved? Took it. Okay. What's next, Miss Osterman?
He also, the reason I got so upset about the trampoline is that also in June, he had purchased as a gift for my son a YZ 1997 Yamaha motorcycle. And he sold that on him. But my son, prior to getting this motorcycle, they traded another one of his in on it, that he worked really hard for his dad and his business, and he worked the whole summer and he saved some money. And LJ can tell you more of that, but Lyman just up and sold that too and wasn't going to tell anybody about that.
Why did you do that for, Mr. Porter?
Okay, why I did it, the bike was a very small bike, and he outgrew it. He's a junior or a senior this year. He would squish it. I have other 2 bikes and trailers that they could use.
Well, what do you think that this is all about, Mr. Porter? I don't want to get your kids up here and testifying, but why would you do anything that would irritate your children?
They don't use it no more.
Why would you do anything that would irritate your children?
Didn't mean to irritate them.
But you did.
I have other bikes. I have other toys, snowmobiles. They're welcome to anything.
Was this a bike that you used?
Yeah.
All the time?
I use it often, yeah.
Did he have a discussion with you about selling the bike?
No, he never told me.
Does he have other bikes for you to use?
He's got one other one.
Is it in as good shape as the one that he sold?
No.
Mr. Porter, I think you make a big mistake, sir. And that is, it seems to me, you're doing little things that are irritating, and you shouldn't. You've been divorced a long time, since 1994. What is the problem with the 2 of you?
Can I show you some evidence?
Sure. What evidence do you want to show
I can show you the size of the bike and the size he is.
Here, you don't seem to get my point.
It's the bike. You might as well get rid of it before.
Well, you discuss it with him. You discuss it with him.
He never helped me this summer.
You discuss it with him. That's what you do. Put your hand down. Who are you?
The brother and the uncle.
Stay out of it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Porter?
No.
Well, let me try again, because maybe you're just thick or maybe you're simple. You have 2 children. The idea is you're not supposed to do anything to purposely hurt your children. And if you have an irritating situation with your former wife, for whatever reason, and there has to be, because otherwise you wouldn't just show up one day at her door and say, I'm taking down the trampoline, because I decided the kids are too big, they don't play with it, or I decided I want to sell it. That's just stupid and irritating for your children. And then he's got a bike that he used. If it's too small for him, it's also too small for you. So you had no use for it. But before I would sell something that belonged to one of my children that they used, I would say, listen, I have this bike. It's too small for you. We'll sell it. Maybe we'll use the money and buy something else. We'll buy something that's bigger for you, or I have 2 other bikes that you can use. Not just sell it. Now do you understand? No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have no case, madam.
Your Honor, my son did, on the motorcycle that he sold, my son put $900 of his money down onto it, and he worked for that money in his business. And when he sold the motorcycle, he wasn't even going to tell anybody. I found out by accident that he sold it. I mean, he told me not to tell LJ that he sold the motorcycle, and I did right before he went to Wisconsin. And with the trampoline, my daughter is in cheerleading, and she used it up until 2 weeks ago when he took it. And these are gifts.
He had permission to take the trampoline.
I don't think that my husband, I asked my husband.
He had permission from your husband to take the trampoline. Your husband is a grown man and could have said to him, you come back when my wife is home. He did not. He said, okay, go back and take it. That's it. And he did. Took it, and he removed it from your property. That's it. You have no case with regard to the trampoline. With regard to the motorcycle, if you want me to have your son testify against his father, I'll be more than happy to do that. Step up. Did you give your father money for this motorbike? Or?
I earned $900 the summer of '97, and we went out and we bought a bike. It was a KX80, it was a different kind. And then the summer of '99, we went and traded that bike in, and he bought me this one.
Now I got it. Sit down. So your son feels as if he was at least part owner of that bike because of a series of trade-ins. Do you understand why your son feels as if you had no right to sell that bike without discussing it with him, Mr. Porter? Do you understand why your son feels as if you had no right to unilaterally sell that bike without at least discussing it with him?
The bike didn't even work because of all the...
Do you understand why
Sorry.
your son feels as if you had no right to unilaterally sell that bike without at least discussing it with him?
I guess I could have talked to him more.
Wait.
But...
Listen. Beauty fades, dumb is forever. Applies equally to men and to women. He doesn't get it, Mrs. Osterman.
I realize that.
He doesn't get it. Just because he's your father doesn't mean he's perfect. He's far from perfect. You may love him anyway, because that's what you're supposed to do. He's imperfect. He doesn't get it. No matter what I say to him, he's not going to get it. What other kinds of bikes do you have at your house, Mr. Porter?
Can I show you a picture?
Sure. Let me see.
Oh, sorry. You get it. Sorry.
Oops.
Sorry.
Okay,
there you go.
what I do.
There.
Just a minute. Would you take all this crap back? Show me the 2 bikes that you have at your house.
Okay.
Now, these are the 2 bikes that you have at your house, sir?
Perfect shape.
LJ, listen to me. Bert is going to hand you this picture and this pen. I want you to make a mark next to the bike you want. Does that say Yamaha?
Yeah.
5 days from today, the court will prepare an order. That bike's to be turned over to your son. Do you understand? 5 days from today. That's the decision of the court. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I tried to call him after it happened and asked him, and he said, it's too bad. I needed the money, and I'll do it again.
The motorcycle was way too small. He couldn't ride it. He didn't ride it. He didn't help pay for it.
He does goofy things like this, and hopefully now maybe he's had an outsider, not just his opinion and my opinion, view this, and maybe it'll help.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walker versus Peterson. Step forward, please.
Secretary Kelly Walker is suing real estate agent Deborah Peterson for the value of her dog. Kelly says the animal ran away and Deborah was the person who found him.
Mrs. Walker, what kind of dog did you have?
He's a black Labrador. His name is AJ.
And you had this dog in the summer of 2002 when you and your husband were going on some sort of a retreat or to a program or something. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
What kind of program were you going into?
It was a rehab program to get our lives together.
Were you involved with drugs or drugs and alcohol or both?
Drugs and alcohol, yes.
How long is the program?
It was for 90 days.
Was it court ordered?
Yes, it was.
When were you scheduled to go into the program?
July 1st. And
when did your husband go into the program?
He went in maybe about 2 weeks prior.
What arrangements did you make for your dog when you and your husband were going to be in this rehab program?
We have a person that stays at our place, and he's been there for like almost 2 years. We've known him for a long time, and he was babysitting our dog. He was watching our dog while we were gone.
But your dog got away. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you don't know what happened with the
Correct.
dog. But somehow your dog got out and found its way to the defendants, Mrs. Peterson. Is that right?
That's correct.
When and under what circumstances did you come into the possession of AJ?
On July 5th, I saw a dog in the road, and I always stop for dogs in the road. And I pulled into Circle K, and I went in the store, and I asked them if they knew who owned the dog. And they said that he had been there all night, and they didn't know who owned him, so I left my business card.
And you took the dog?
Yes.
Did the dog have a collar?
It had a collar, but it had no tags.
What was the next thing that happened with the dog, and when?
I took him home. I gave him food and water, and he lived at my house for 3 months.
Did anybody call you in that 3-month period?
In July, Gabriel called me. And
July what?
Mid-July, approximately.
Okay. You're Gabriel. Step
Correct.
up. You're the one who was supposed to be watching the dog?
Correct.
How did the dog get out?
Well, the dog, it's on a loose, no fence.
So the dog can go wherever the dog wants to go?
Yeah, but he usually stay by the house.
But he didn't stay by the house?
Correct.
Okay, good. So you have the dog now. Gabriel calls you and says what?
That dog belonged to them, and when he told me there was no fence, we have contracts with Sun City Friends of Animals that...
Look at me when you're speaking.
If an owner does not have a fenced yard, or somebody wants to adopt a dog, they have to have a fenced yard.
You're not the dog police. Did he ask you for the dog back?
Yes, he did, but he never came to get the dog.
Did you go and get the dog?
Not by myself, no.
Did you go with anybody to get the dog?
No.
Ever?
No.
Good. Sit down. Did you ever contact her?
Okay. Now at this point, when I was away, my husband, he I guess apparently went and spoke to Deborah Peterson.
And Mr. Walker, when
Yes.
did you go and speak to Miss Peterson?
That was around maybe the first week of August.
So she's already had the dog for a month.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We were very happy to find out that she had found our dog, and I was willing to do anything to let her know that we were wanting to pick our dog up.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
Did you go and pick up your dog?
I made an attempt to go and pick my dog up, yes.
In August?
Yes, I did.
Did you go to her house?
I went straight to her office where she was at to get a hold of her.
Good. And what did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I asked her, just please do me one favor. We love that dog so much. We want him back. And he's like our kid. And we love him very much. And we would do anything to make sure he got returned to the home. And she said that she would have no problem with watching the dog and not to give him away to anybody else and to return him to us.
Is that the conversation you had with him?
I don't remember saying that I was going to hold a dog for him. That I don't remember saying that. The way I saw things happen was I got a couple phone numbers of the parents, and I talked to the parents.
Who are the parents?
I don't know.
You mean their parents?
One of their parents.
My parents.
And I talked to them over the phone a couple times. I gave them directions to my house.
You mean their parents?
Yes. And on Sunday they were going to come pick the dog up. It was like mid-August. And I waited all day Sunday, and nobody showed up.
Did you tell your parents to go and get the dog?
Yes, we were going to make arrangements, but I could not
The
leave.
answer is either yes or no. Did you tell them to go and get your dog?
Yes, I did.
And they did not go and get the dog?
No, they couldn't.
Okay, fine. What date did you get out of your program?
September 28th.
Well, when did you get in touch with her?
At that time, what did I do at that very moment? I looked into the information.
What date did you get in touch with her and say, I want my dog back?
The very next month, the following month, like the first, second, third, it was right around
Of
there.
what month?
October.
So she's had your dog July, August, September, and in October
Right,
you
when I got
finally
out.
called her.
Well, I had looked into it because my husband had already gotten in contact with her, and
What did you do with the dog, Miss Peterson?
I found another rescue that would not euthanize the dog.
And as far as you know, was the dog placed in a home?
That's correct. I followed up.
Put your hand down, sir. I'm not interested. Can't you get that? I do see your hand up there. You have nothing else to contribute to this case. You never went to get the dog. That's what you testified.
What was the reason?
I don't care what the reason was. You never went to get the dog and say, this is my dog. I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for it. Take the police and go get your dog. You never did that. And you were out of your program for a period of time?
No, I left for one day to go retrieve my dog.
And you didn't?
No, I attempted
And you
to.
did.
The dog was
And you
not there to
didn't.
retrieve.
And you didn't. Miss Walker?
Yes.
And you got out of your program on the 28th of September?
Yes.
And you did not go on the 28th of September to retrieve your dog?
Yes, I did. As a matter
You
of fact,
did?
I did. I looked into
tell me,
information.
Shh, just a second. Tell me where you went on the 28th of December to get your dog.
I went home to look into the information of where the dog was located.
Did you go to her job?
Yes, I did.
On the 28th of September?
That exact day, I can't say that exact day, but
Right. Let me explain something to you.
I didn't
Your
know
dog
the
doesn't-
person at the time.
Let me explain. Your dog's gone. It's adopted by somebody else.
Yes.
Go get another dog. You understand? 3 months, she took care of your dog. You didn't send her a dime. Your parents didn't come and pick up the dog. He had the ability to go and get your dog. You were someplace else in a court-ordered rehab. That's what happens. You kept a dog without a fence, according to him. We don't have fences. It usually comes home. That's where you chose to keep your dog. This dog that you loved like a child. The dog got out, could have gotten killed, was around a parking lot. She rescued the dog. Instead of saying thank you, you sue her. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We trusted on somebody, you know, that said that they would watch over our dog, and they didn't.
There was some neglect without defense.
It's glad that she watched over it, but, you know, she still turned on us.
And I did everything I could to return their dog.
We definitely love their dog with all our heart.
I understand their feelings, and I really did feel bad for them.
Administrative assistant Christine Trojan is suing her former friend, dog walker Shira Wilson, for an unpaid loan. Shira says the money was a gift.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 542 on the calendar in the matter of Trojan versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Trojan, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of, what is it, $500?
Yes, that's correct.
The loan was in order to pay certain court costs and fines involving an arrest that the defendant had had. Was that arrest for domestic violence?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. That was a fast yes. Easy. The defendant acknowledges the fact you paid for the fines and court costs. Is that right? You admit that she gave you the money.
Yes.
But you say it was not a loan. There was a reason that she gave you the money.
Yes.
I'm ready to hear it.
Okay. Well, Christine herself had an outstanding court trial.
What kind of case?
Terrorists making annoying phone calls, making threatening phone calls.
What kind of case did you have?
It was for making annoying phone calls.
Harassment.
Harassment.
Can I see what you have there,
Yes.
please? Making harassing phone calls to whom, Miss Trojan?
It was an ex-friend of mine also.
Male or female?
Male.
An ex-boyfriend of yours?
No, not a boyfriend.
So she had a pending case?
Yes, that I was her only witness to. And after we determined after that
Now look at me. Don't look down there.
I'm sorry, baby.
Look.
Oops. My apologies.
Try to keep it together, Miss
You got
Wilson.
it. My apologies.
You had a domestic violence case,
Yes.
which you were fined. You hadn't paid them, so you were going to be arrested.
Something like that.
Something like that. It's close enough. She gave you the money. Now you're telling me that the reason she gave you the money is because she had a pending case, and you were subpoenaed as a witness to testify in her case.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And at the same time, at the exact same time that her case was going on, I had a progress report due for my case. Every so many months, I would have to come to court and show progress on my payments to the Neighborhood Family Center where I took my domestic violence classes. And for her case, her attorney, this very same day that I was going in, that I made the $400 payment, was the very same day that her attorney called her and told her about my case and asked her questions about why I don't know, because they were trying to impeach me as a witness for on the prosecution. And when Christine intervened, and she was trying to secure that I was not going to be impeached as a witness for her, which I don't know why she came up with this, but she thought better for me to pay my entire balance on my fines than to have a reason for them to
That's a lie, Your Honor.
It's not a lie. You know it's not a lie. Excuse
Okay.
me.
So let me try to put
I
this
never came to her to ask her for...
Let me try to put this succinctly. Your defense is she paid this money so that when you were called as a witness in her harassment case, the people, the prosecutor, would not be able to impeach you as a witness by demonstrating that you hadn't paid appropriate court costs and fines on your other case. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought that's what you just told me. And therefore she, on her own volition, took it upon herself to pay the court costs and fines, which were how much?
To give herself peace of mind. She gave me $400, and I have receipts.
Just a minute. So she gave you the money?
No, she gave it to Sheila, the director of the Neighborhood Family Center.
So she didn't give you the money, she gave it to Sheila.
She went with me that very night and took me, yes. Yes,
Gave
ma'am.
it to Sheila.
Yes, ma'am.
That's another lie, Your Honor.
Okay. Now you tell me, Ms. Trojan, your version of why you paid this money for her.
Okay. She approached me and asked me for the money to pay off this fine. And the fine.
When did she do that?
It was in the later part of April, I believe.
Go ahead.
And she asked me if I would loan her the money, because at this time I had just recently...
Where were you when she asked you?
I was at her apartment.
Go ahead.
And regarding the case that she's talking about... Okay.
You were in her apartment and she said to you...
Well, let's go back a little bit. When I drove her home one day, I was dropping her off at her apartment. There was a LA County Sheriff's vehicle out in front of her apartment, and as we were going down the street, she grabbed my arm and said, don't turn, keep going. And so I kept going. She had me parked down the street, and then she asked me to go to her apartment to see if the sheriffs were there for her. And I said, what's going on? What have you done? And she said, well, I have this outstanding, I have this case, and monies are due. And she goes, and I'm worried that they're there to pick me up on that because I haven't paid my fines. And so I went to her apartment, and when I walked over to her apartment, the sheriffs were already gone. So I came back, and then she had gotten out of my car, and then we went up to her apartment, and then that's when she had asked me if I could loan her the money to pay off these fines.
Tell me about the whole conversation. Did any part of the conversation have to do with your upcoming case?
No, because at that time I was going through my court case, but it hadn't even gone to trial yet, and I was taking it to trial. So I didn't have an idea that she was going to...
What happened to the trial?
Well, I have the paperwork here, Your Honor, if you'd like to see it.
Just tell me. Then I may look at it. What happened?
Well, at the time I was going to court on it, and it hadn't gone to trial yet. So
you told me that already. I asked you what happened when it went to trial.
It went to trial, and then she was a witness for me, and I ended up losing the case.
So you were convicted?
I was convicted.
So she's not a very good witness?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You threw a hairbrush at him?
Yes.
Did he have a razor edge?
No.
Did it injure him?
Yes.
Where did it injure him?
Above his forehead.
And later today...
I moved out because the behavior that I was dealing with living with them in the apartment was...
Well, tell me about the behavior.
Loud fighting, screaming, physical fighting.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Trojan says former friend Shira Wilson owes for an unpaid loan for court fines. Shira says she never asked Christine for the money.
I'd like to see the paperwork on her case.
Sure.
Who are you?
I'm her boyfriend. And I know a lot about what went on with
the whole... step up here instead of sitting there and laughing to... Shh, quiet. What do you do for a living?
I'm in sales.
What's your name?
Carrie Wagoner.
What kind of sales are you in, Mr. Wagoner?
Internet.
You have a company of your own?
No.
So you work for somebody else?
Yes, I do.
So tell me what you know about this money that was paid... About the money that was paid by the plaintiff on the defendant's behalf.
No problem. Well, first of all, it wasn't $500 that she's suing for. It was $400. Second of all, if Shira came to her in April for the money, the court fines were paid in March, a month earlier.
Listen to me. There is no contest, Mr. Wagoner. Stop. Put your hand in front of you.
Sorry.
Put your hand in front of you. There is no question, there's not an issue as to the fact that the money was paid by the plaintiff on the defendant's behalf, whether it was in March or April. So that doesn't make any difference. Do you understand?
Sure.
What else do you have to contribute?
Well, the fact is that Christine came to Shira about her case because they had the same judge. She was paranoid that... She was paranoid.
Were you present, Mr. Wagner?
No, I was not.
Then you may be seated, sir.
Your Honor.
Speak not, I'm reading. What is this motion to exclude defense witness? Is that her?
Yes. No. Yes, I was her only witness. They were trying to have me impeached for whatever reason.
Excluded.
Whatever.
Not impeached, excluded.
Yeah, that's the word. My apologies.
Did you ultimately testify?
Yes.
Yes, she did. Okay. And that statement in there does not... it's not for her. It's for a totally different witness on the plaintiff's side.
Okay. Tell me about the case that you were convicted of, Miss Wilson.
I threw a hairbrush at my boyfriend that he threw at me, and I was taken to jail for it, and I pled no contest.
You threw at this boyfriend?
Yes.
You threw a hairbrush at him?
Yes.
Did he have a razor edge?
No.
Did it injure him?
Yes.
Where did it injure him?
Above his forehead.
Was this the first time that you'd been taken into custody on a domestic
Absolutely.
violence complaint?
Yes, on any account.
Okay. Are you living together now?
Still are, yes.
Oh, good for you. So that the only one who's out any money as a result of this lover's squabble is her. Is that right?
Correct. I have a history. I can show you the history of me. My payments to the courts were under control. I had no need to.
Just a second. Just a second. I assume that you were making the payments to the court because you knew you had done something wrong. Is that right?
I was making the payments because I had an outstanding balance for the class.
Because you had done something
Yes.
wrong. You pled no contest, which is equivalent to a plea of guilty.
Right, absolutely.
And you were making your payments.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you did something wrong.
Yes.
So you had to be punished.
Yes.
And you had to be punished by going to classes for which you had to pay, right?
Correct.
And in addition, pay certain court costs because you ate up the court's time with your nonsense,
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
got charged for that,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Right? Now, what kind of statement does it make, Miss Wilson, if somebody else is punished for you? Listen to me. What kind of statement does that make for you? That is almost like saying, she should go to jail for me because she wanted me to do something, so she'll go and do my time. I can pay somebody to do my time. I don't have to go to jail myself as punishment.
No,
if I can
ma'am.
get somebody else to do it, that's terrific.
I was very proud of the fact that I have been able to take care of all my
Great! Then that's what I want you to do. You're going to feel absolutely terrific, Miss Wilson, because you're going to complete the payment of your fine.
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The reason the friendship's bad is not because of the case. It's because I lent her $100. She's never paid me back.
Shara Wilson has never taken responsibility for anything in her life.
We went to Havasu after that.
After
We went
the
to,
loan.
she gave me the money. We went to Havasu. We went to Moronga. We've gone.
She
out of
promised me a number of
Palm
times to pay me
Springs.
certain dates and times. She never did.
No, I don't owe them any money.
That's why she hasn't been by. That's why the friendship went bad. Not because of them, because of her and me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Panaccio versus Hardy, step forward, please.
25-year-old personal trainer Joseph Panaccio is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old retail salesperson Demisha Hardy, for an unpaid loan to pay rent.
Mr. Panaccio, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $1,000. According to your complaint, she paid you back $100. She owes you the rest.
Correct.
The defendant says she's paid you back part of it in cash. Part of it is from a sweater that she said a dog of yours destroyed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you make this loan and why?
I made this loan about December 15th. She
Of
needed
what year?
2002. I've known her for 2 years. I met her at a department store where she works, and basically we've just been friends ever since. And what I did was she needed a favor for me to loan her the money, the $1,000. I'm a personal trainer, so a lot of times I get paid cash, so it's not unusual for me to have $1,000 to $1,500 in my house, so I paid her
What
the
does
money.
she need the money for?
Rent.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Time kept passing and passing. After Christmas, I got a hold of her on the phone, and she agreed to write up a statement saying that she paid me $100 out of the $1,000. She owed me $900, balance due by January 15th, 2003, which was never paid. And every time I talk to
Can
her,
I see the note, please?
yes. Every time I call the defendant, she just keeps telling me to take her to court. She don't care. Whole lot of swearing and cuss words, so I had no other choice but to take her to court.
Where were you when she signed this?
At her house.
When was it signed?
December 28th, I believe.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
What was he doing at your house?
He had stopped by my house like 4 or 5 times looking for me because we'd had a conversation, and he let me borrow the money on November 28th. That's when I got the money from him, and I told him that I was going to try and have it back to him by the 15th of December. But my new job, I didn't get paid. They were having some problems with the payroll, and I explained this to him, and I said, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to have the money for you, but I do have $100, and I gave him that before he went to Boston. So when he got back from Boston, which was after Christmas, he had stopped by my house, and he had asked my neighbors where I was, and he was looking for me. and he was flipping out, like, where have you been? I see all these boxes outside. I thought you were moving out. I thought you were skipping town on me, paying me back your money. So I said, you know, if it's going to make you feel better, I already offered to sign something for you. I will sign something that says I owe you this money. And that's when we did that.
Okay. Now, you say that you gave him back more than $100.
Yes, I have.
When?
I paid him $200 in cash. She drove me to his house, and I gave him $200 in cash on December 31st, 2002.
You forgot about that?
No, I didn't forget about it. Her statements are false. That was never happened. She paid me $100 and that was it. If she paid me anything else than that, I would have written it up and done it the right way.
After I paid him the $200, I called him the next day because I'd remembered about the note that I signed, and I said, look, Joe, you know, we should keep up with this and sign things. And he's like, oh, you know, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to offend you by having you sign something. I threw that paper away. It's not like that. I was just nervous because you hadn't paid me any money, and it was supposed to be due on the 15th, and I said, fine, that's fine. But she was there. She saw me give him the money, and then...
Tell me your name.
Jamie Harris.
What do you do, Miss Harris?
I'm a waitress.
How do you know the defendant?
I'm her roommate.
Tell me about what you saw on the 31st of December.
I drove her over to Joe's house, and I asked her where he's going to be. He walked outside. I pulled into the parking lot, and he came out and leaned into my car window. She handed him the money. I saw him count $200 in his hand, and then he asked us what we were doing later on that night, what we were going to do for New Year's Eve, if we wanted to hang out, and that he would call us later, and that whenever she had any more money, whenever it wasn't a big deal, just give it to him as it comes.
Her statements are false, and if I ever did call her, all she would do is swear and say, take me to court, I don't care, take me to court. That, you know, that's all I ever got out of her.
What other money did you give him?
I think it was January 14th, whatever the Saturday was, 2 weeks after that day. I paid him another $250, but I have school on Saturday, so I told him that he could come by my house and pick it up, and either Jamie or my brother would be home. And he came over that day. He called me after he picked up the money and said, thanks, I got it from your brother, and I'll have the other money, you know, just call me and let me know when you want to pay me some more money. And I said, fine, that's fine. I should be able to pay you before the end of this month. And he said that that was fine.
It's a totally false allegation. I would also like to admit into evidence I have a message that she left on my cell phone that I had recorded.
That says what?
Just her swearing and saying, you know, I owe you the money and
I'd like
take
to
me
hear
to
that.
court.
Give it to Bird because I can't hear from back there.
Okay, what you want to do is you want to hit this play button 2 times.
2 times.
Correct.
Message Wednesday, January 29th, 7:54 p.m. So I think that you're on crack. Like, you must be insane. You just called me and yelling like you're going to take me to court and it's all a song and dance and talking the most. And then you're going to call me back and tell me what you're doing tonight. Who cares? If you want to take me to court, then take me to court. I don't give a... I already told you that. Do what you have to do. But I'm not going to have you, like, ruining my night by calling me and yelling and talking to me. I don't need that. So if you want to meet tomorrow and get your money, then that's fine. But don't be calling me talking.
Which never happened, Your Honor. I mean, she never paid me the money.
I was at home when he came by and picked up the money, the $250 from her brother, and I was also there on many, many phone occasions when he called her yelling.
There's no question that he did call her because she's calling you in response to you making a phone call to her, sir.
Well, yeah, I kept calling her, but I would never get a response back.
Okay. Now, even if I believe you, you still owe him $400.
When we were dating, I was at his house and his dog ate my sweater, and I told him that, you know, that's $200 sweater, you're going to need to replace that. And he said, he was laughing, he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. So
where'd you put your sweater?
He put it on the floor.
Where were you?
We were sitting on the couch, and he's like, here, let me put your sweater. I guess he meant to put it on the coffee table, but it fell on the floor, and then his dog ate it.
Listen, madam.
So here's the sweater.
Watch out for your own sweater. The dog wasn't hiding anywhere. The dog was out, right?
No, but he agreed to pay for it. We had a verbal agreement, and he said, I'm sorry, I'll replace it.
Stop it. Stop it, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Mr. Panaccio, why would you, I want you to think very carefully, why would you keep calling her about this money instead of just taking her to court?
Well, I thought we could handle this case without having to go to court, you know, because then I would have to go down to the courthouse and file, and now it's going to cost me money for court costs. And
When did you stop dating her, sir?
We never really dated. We were basically friends for a couple of years, you know, good friends, and
I'm not sure whether I believe that, sir.
Okay.
You're at her house, she's at your house. When did you stop being friends?
We stopped being friends maybe November 15th.
That was before you gave her this money?
Yeah, because we're still good friends, like I said.
Miss Hardy, you owe him $400. Pay him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She didn't want to pay me.
I still owed him money, that's fine, and I was willing to pay him that money.
The evidence basically presented itself.
He was completely lying the whole time.
Even the first week, I lent her the money. After that, I knew that she didn't want to pay me.
He called me 5 times a day, every single day.
She basically just tried to do me for $1,000, you know.
Cussing me out, telling me that he was going to take me to court and I never paid him any money. It's just funny.
The real victim is me.
We're not going to be friends anymore.
Life goes on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Detweiler versus Davison, step forward, please.
23-year-old student Miranda Detweiler is suing her former friend, 21-year-old stagehand Sandra Davison, for the return of her belongings. Sandra is countersuing for rent and stolen property.
Miss Detweiler, when were you in rehab?
July of 2002.
For how long?
21 days.
What kind of substances were you abusing?
Heroin and other things.
Was it a court-ordered rehab?
No.
When you got out in August?
Yes.
Did you go for follow-up treatment?
Yes.
What kind of treatment?
I'm still going to outpatient therapy, and I have a caseworker, and I go to counseling.
Take methadone?
No, I take Paxil.
According to your complaint, when you got out of rehab, you needed a place to stay. Miss Davidson and her husband, is this your husband, boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend, invited you to come and stay with them.
Yes.
I assume she was a good friend of yours.
Yes.
According to Miss Davidson, there were a couple of conditions for that, and one of the conditions was that you stay away from the ex-boyfriend. Is that right?
Yes.
And get yourself together. There came a time when Miss Davidson told you to leave. She put you out of the house, and you claim she kept some of your property and has not returned your property.
Yes.
Ms. Davidson said you had ample opportunity to take all of your property. She doesn't have any of your property, and she's counterclaiming because she says either you or your boyfriend stole some stuff from her house, and you never paid rent as you had agreed to pay when you moved in.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Miranda Detweiler claims former friend Sandra Davison won't return her belongings. Sandra claims Miranda's ex-boyfriend stole her property and sold it for drugs.
How long did she stay with you?
For about 7 months.
What was the rent agreement?
$50 a week for the whole time she was there.
Was she working when she got out of rehab?
No, ma'am.
So how did you expect her to pay $50 a week?
She was expected to try and find a job to the best of her ability.
So you didn't expect her to pay rent until she found a job?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the whole thing together. When did she finally find a job?
And beginning of December.
So from August until December, she wasn't working?
No.
So how was she going to pay you rent? Right. So that takes care of the rent. You didn't tell her to leave in August, September, October, November, did you?
No, I didn't want to see her go back on the streets and...
Good. I assume that, but for the fact that she filed this lawsuit, you wouldn't have filed a counterclaim for the rent. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So spend my time and energy on things that are important. What kind of things did she steal from your apartment?
She didn't steal it. She had her boyfriend at the time. She snuck him into the house, and he removed property from us and
like what?
Sold it. $900 bass guitar, $150 worth of DVDs, and a $350 PlayStation 2, and sold it for drugs.
When did the boyfriend get out of jail?
I'm not exactly sure.
When
the
did he get
date.
out of jail?
A week before Christmas of that year, 2002. This stuff was stolen.
Week before Christmas.
Yes.
When did he go into jail?
July.
When was your stuff stolen?
January of 2002.
So is what you're telling me before she moved into your apartment, before she was in rehab, she had let somebody in a year before?
No, it was the same year. Her and her boyfriend got kicked out of their apartment. So we told them that they could stay with us. She had a job. She was paying rent, $50 a week. And the boyfriend was supposed to be getting a job. During that time, we gave him a month, and he never got a job, so we told him we wanted him to leave. She was still paying. She was allowed to stay, but we didn't want him around because we knew he was still using drugs. She snuck him into the house numerous times, and once we found out about it, we told her to leave.
Is that right? Just answer the question. Is that right?
Not exactly true.
Close.
Okay.
Was it close?
Close.
The boyfriends took some stuff from their apartment?
Without my knowledge, yes.
He may have taken it without your knowledge, but he got into the apartment with your knowledge.
Yes.
So you helped them. They were being nice to you, and they got kicked in the teeth.
What is not mentioned is that they were friends long before that I met him. He used to live with them at their old apartment.
They put him out. You let him back in. If he took their property and sold it, you're as responsible. Now, what are you kvetching about things that these people didn't return to you?
I have a list of things that she kept of mine. She destroyed a lot of my stuff. She peed on my shoes.
Go ahead.
So there's so many things in here that they're just broken. She took all my liquid stuff and poured it all over my clothes. There was an open beer in my clothes. There was just a lot of, like, all my good stuff she kept. Like my blades and...
What did you do about reimbursing her for all the stuff your boyfriend had stolen?
It's not like it's just my boyfriend. I'm the one who told her about it. She wouldn't have even known I stole it. He stole it. I'm the one who told him
What
he stole it.
What did you do about paying her back for all the stuff that your boyfriend stole with your help?
I shouldn't have to.
Why not?
Because it's not my fault.
Sure it is, honey. Oh, yes, it is. It's your fault. You let him in.
He was staying there.
No, they had put him out. They had put him out. They told you could stay because you were paying rent, but he was still using, so he was out. And then he went back to jail, right?
Yes.
So they were right to put him out.
Yes.
Ms. Detweiler, I wouldn't complain if I were you. Listen, classic example of no good deed goes unpunished. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You're not going to get the value of your stuff back, but I certainly are not going to even listen to the nonsense about somebody spilling a bottle of shampoo in her stuff. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She likes to hold grudges against people, and she doesn't want me talking to my ex-boyfriend.
She basically lived off the fact that we were helping her out.
Like, they were friends. It's not like I introduced him to them. They introduced me to him.
Well, like she said, no good deed goes unpunished.
Brooke Batiste is suing her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, for property damage, breaking a lease, and a dog attack.
Court coming to order. All rise.
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2080 Baptiste versus Carter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Batiste, you and Miss Carter were roommates.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
From October 7th to April 1st. Actually, May.
And it is your claim that Miss Carter vandalized certain property of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Most specifically, a very expensive couch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had an argument, and that during the course of this argument, her dog bit you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And for breaching the lease, because she left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it was a good thing that she left, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were happy that she left. Her dog bit you. She vandalized the sofa. You were very happy that she
left. Yeah.
You were very happy. So we're going to eliminate that breach of the lease part.
No.
Oh yes, we're going to eliminate the breach of the lease part because you were happy that she left.
I didn't want her to live in the same situation as her, but being that the rent was so expensive, it wouldn't have been my best interest for her to leave.
It's with her to stay with her dog that bit you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want you to sound ridiculous to me, okay?
Right.
All right, let's not sound ridiculous to me. Normal person, if they were bitten by their roommate's dog, and if their roommate vandalized their property, that roommate would be happy to see them go.
But I'm not happy with the expensive rent by myself.
Well, of course, but your choice would be staying with her and her dog that bit you.
But if her name's on the lease...
Just a second. That's between her and the landlord. I just told you, I'm sticking with vandalizing and dog bite. So tell me when this dog bite took place.
It's on March 29th.
What kind of dog was it, by the way?
It was a Belgian Malinois.
What do they look like?
It looks like a German Shepherd.
Is that what you have, Miss Carter? A Belgian
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. A Belgian Malinois, like a police dog.
So it looks like a German Shepherd?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a large dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved in together, you moved in with the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me what happened March 29th.
Okay, so before March 29th, Adrian and I got in a petty argument. It was dumb. We made up. In the argument, she confessed to me that...
No, just a minute. You engaged in a petty argument, and then you made up.
Yes.
And the petty argument was on what date?
It was on the March 27th.
And you made up?
Yes.
Okay. On the 27th, what were you arguing about?
My dog tore up the carpet, and she sent this long paragraph, and we were just going back and forth, and we realized it was dumb, so we decided to drop it. And that's when she confessed to...
On the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were arguing about the dog, and then on the 27th, after you were over the argument about the dog, is that what you're telling me? Be very careful.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She confessed that she gave the guy that I was seeing a lap dance.
And?
And I immediately cut all ties with her.
So you cut all ties with her how?
I stopped speaking to her.
Even though you were roommates?
Yes.
Okay.
After I stopped talking to her, social media posts were made.
By whom?
Adrian.
Okay. Social media posts were made. Do you have those?
No, I do not.
Do you have those?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you have them if this is your case?
They erase, but I have other things that I think you would want to see.
I'm going in order. This is a case, so don't try to creep into my mind. Even say in your complaint a couple of days later, there were things posted on social media. And is what you're telling me that they were erased?
Right. I didn't save anything that she posted.
Oh, never mind. I don't have to see anything, correct?
Correct.
So you didn't save anything?
No, ma'am.
Then you have no evidence of anything that happened
So
later.
I saw that she had no remorse for what she did. Then I made social media posts. Adrian was mad that I made social media posts. So the next morning, she's yelling at the top of her lungs at 10 in the morning. I wake up to see what she's yelling about. And she's just saying how I'm a and I shouldn't have posted what I posted. And we were just arguing about the situation, and I asked, how could she do this to me? It was a very heated argument. She was yelling at the top of her lungs. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. During the argument, her dog is whoo, going crazy. And while we were arguing, we were pretty close, the dog bit me, and I said, you need to get your dog. She said, no, your dog is good. And we continued to argue. The dog came to bite me again, and that's when I grabbed what was behind me, which was a paper towel holder, and I chucked it at the dog.
So the dog bit you on the arm?
Yes, ma'am, twice.
Okay. I would like to see a medical report on that.
Okay. All right, I have a photo of the bite, the antibiotics, and then this is the report.
Would you show this to Miss Carter, please?
Your Honor, I know she has a video of the entire incident, if you'd rather.
It's not her obligation to prove your case, as my law clerk so aptly told me in the last case. Not her obligation, it's your obligation. Okay. So, go ahead.
After her dog bit me, I immediately grabbed my dog and I go to the hospital. I filled out
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Doberman.
Where was your Doberman when this was going on?
He was in the cage, and he's still a baby as well. So I went to the hospital, got treated. While I was at the hospital, Adrian called the police, and she said that I attacked her dog.
Don't tell me what she said to the police unless you have a police report.
Yes, ma'am, I have a police report.
Then I'd like to see the police report. That's an official business record.
So this is the first police report for the dog bite.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so April 19th, this day, Adrian knocked on my door.
No, April 19th? We're at April 19th. I thought you moved out on April 1st.
No, she moved out on April 19th.
So is what you're saying after all this altercation, she moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed in the apartment with her dog from the 29th to April 19th?
Yes, ma'am. And I went to a friend's house the day the dog bit me, and then I went home for a week, and then that's when I came back, and this second incident happened.
So after the dog bit you, you did not go home. You took your dog and left.
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed at whose house for a week?
I stayed at a friend that lives an hour away from my current apartment.
On what date did you return?
So I stayed one night at a friend's house, and then I returned, and then I went home for a week. So
when you went, stop playing with papers.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you went home for the day, was the defendant at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any conversations with her?
No, ma'am.
Just stayed out of her way and packed a few things and left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to stay?
At home in Alabama.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am. Until things cooled down, basically.
Okay, and when did you go back?
I went back, I believe, April 17th.
And what happened when you went back on the 17th?
A few days later, April 19th, Adrian was knocking on my door at 9 a.m. in the morning saying that I need to come to the leasing office because there's a new roommate here. I told her no, and then that's when she started threatening me and calling me all these kinds of names. So I take my dog again, I go outside, and I call an officer, and that's also when I called my mom, and she convinced me to go up there to speak with the new roommate to see, who they were.
What new roommates? Just a second.
She tried to get 2 young girls to replace her on the lease.
And it was unsatisfactory?
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I have a dog bite and
yes, ma'am.
Couch.
So after I said no to the 2 roommates, one didn't have a job, they looked young, I said no. I went back home. 10 minutes later, Adrian...
Home? You mean to your folks'
To our
house?
apartment.
Oh, to your apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So 10 minutes later, Adrian comes in. I was in the room with my door locked. I hear Adrian yelling. I hear her throwing things. She's saying, I can't believe you did that. You really just did that. I don't care. I'm still moving out. I'm still leaving. I'm not paying rent. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't come out the room because last time it got crazy, so I just said I would let her do what she does, and I will let the authorities handle it.
She did come out the room, Your Honor.
When I finally came out the room, which I have a video, and came out, she had moved the couch in front of the door so I couldn't get out of my room. And
well, how did you get out?
I jumped over it. And the trash can was flipped upside down. I have pictures of all the damage that she did to the house and videos.
Well, I'd like to see them, please. And I would like to see the damage to the couch, which is your major complaint.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the damages, and then I have a video of the entire incident right here.
Brooke Batiste claims her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, owes for couch damage and a dog attack.
By the way, did you have any unreimbursed medical bills as a result of this dog bite? That's either a yes or a no.
No, ma'am.
When did you purchase this couch?
I purchased it the day we moved in, so it was October 7th.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,200 in total, and Adrian and I were paying on it a little bit in the beginning, but there came a time where we had to make the final payment on it, which was $1,200. When we had the argument, she didn't pay anything, so I had to pay it all by myself, and the couch is in my name.
Did the couch remain?
Yes, ma'am. The couch is at the house.
What does it look like now?
It's black, but there's it's an odor coming from the couch, and there's some stains on it.
Do you have a picture of it, what it looks like now?
No, ma'am. I just have the pictures that I gave you.
Okay, but you're still using the sofa.
The answer is a smell. No, ma'am. I don't sit on it anymore because there's a smell.
So why don't you get rid of it out of the apartment?
I'm moving October 6th, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
But you've been using it since April.
It's just been sitting there, Your Honor. I haven't had
sitting
time.
in your apartment since April.
Yes, ma'am.
April, May, June.
I just haven't made the time to get rid of it because I know I'm moving soon, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
I wouldn't keep something in my house that smelled.
I work a lot, and
Would you please show this to the defendant? Want to tell me how that happened?
I did put chips and items that wasn't wet on the couch out of anger. I shouldn't have did it, but I did do it. And I didn't put liquid on it or anything. Literally,
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
You can get a napkin and wipe it off. But that's my couch too. Maybe I didn't pay the whole thing on it, but I've made payments on that couch, and I decided not to do that full payment that she did, which was $600, because she was irresponsible and decided to rent a couch and found out that that couch was whatever amount. I made payments on that couch, and I have proof for it.
That's okay. You had no right to even attempt to destroy it.
At all.
At all. You had no right to do that.
Right.
Because that devalued the sofa.
I agree.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm actually finished with you.
Your Honor, can we please go back over the lease portion of this?
No.
Can my mom speak about what happened?
No, I said no. When there's that kind of acrimony, I actually think that before somebody gets seriously injured, when you have two large dogs and two people with hot tempers that can do this, it's a very, very good thing that they no longer live together.
Being stuck with a rent and
just a second. I've just answered you. This is not a back and forth.
Yes, ma'am.
On the dog bite, I am awarding you $1,000. It looks as if part of it was a black and blue mark. Certainly, I can't blame the dog for trying to protect its owner, but she's supposed to have control of her dog all the time.
And she shouldn't start arguing.
This is not a tea dance. I'm not asking you anything. And I'm awarding you $1,200 for the sofa. That's $2,200. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She just did something messed up, and I cut her off, and she didn't like it.
I literally cut her off. She's just mad that she's cut off.
She's delusional. She's delusional.
She's childish. She's irresponsible, and I was just sick of dealing with someone draining.
Just don't get roommates with your friends. Just move in by yourself.
I'm happy.
You had a question about the lease.
I did. So I agree that it was best for the acrimonious situation for them to separate and not to live there. So I understand your judgment saying it was better for you. You got the good end of the stick on that she left. However, the law, if you breach a lease, she did get stuck with a higher portion of rent because her roommate, although a negative situation that should have probably ended right when it did, she was stuck paying her half as well. So I thought you should have at least heard her claim on the breach of a lease, because then anyone could just say, oh, well, I don't like the situation and I feel like leaving would be a better thing, and stick their roommate with their portion of the rent. And that's not what the law says.
Well, that's true, except that this wasn't just a situation where parties weren't getting along. Mm-hmm. There's no question that she was nipped by the defendant's dog. Well, I wouldn't want to stay in that situation anyway.
Well, that would give her the right to maybe leave without paying her half of the rent, but that's not what happened.
It's also sort of acknowledged that the defendant brought two other people to take over her piece of rent. And it was in the papers, and the plaintiff did not...
She did say that she was the one that said no.
She said, I don't want those two people. Well, then the onus really falls on her to mitigate her damages. Mm-hmm. And she had no proof that she went forward to try to get another roommate. Between the two of them, they may have had an agreement, but the dispute over rent really is the defendants and the landlords. Mm-hmm. She doesn't pay her rent, and if the plaintiff pays her half of the rent, the landlord is free to go against either or both of them.
Sure, because both their names were on
in the lease.
Understood.
David Self is suing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, for a phone and gas money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2087, Self versus Stroger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Self?
That's correct.
There are two parts to your claim. I'm going to get and take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to get and dismiss one of them and get to the one that is important. You and the defendant were in a dating sort of relationship. That dating relationship sort of continued for a while. At some point, you had an argument, and she left you. She stranded you. That was in July of 2022. You say you had an argument, she drove off, and she left you stranded. You had to get a hotel for the night. You had to pay a friend for gas money, blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
Forget that. That's what happens when you have a fight with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Have a fight with your girlfriend. How old are you?
I'm almost 40.
Well, for someone almost 40, they know how to get home.
Correct.
Okay, good. So let's get to what your lawsuit is. It's really about a phone that you say the defendant is responsible for losing or taking.
Taking. I have video to
taking. And the defendant in some way acknowledges that she disposed of your phone, and she says she had very good cause to dispose of your phone. She's going to tell me why. So I'm going to get some dates from you, Mr. Self, and I'm going to, at the same time, explore what I see is her answer and her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, after the two of you had broken up, Miss Stroger was at a bar, and she was at a bar on what date?
I would say that would be the 16th. It was actually on the 19th.
August 2nd.
Was it August
8/2. You see how...
She knows better about these dates than I do.
Well, but it's your case.
I understand that.
So let's say she's right, that it happened on August 2nd.
Okay.
And at that time, the two of you were no longer dating or a couple.
Yes.
And you were going to a bar. And when you got there, was the defendant there?
Not that I was aware of at the particular time.
You didn't see her?
I didn't see her, no.
What time did you get to the bar?
I'd say about 4 or 5.
Anybody else at the bar?
There's quite a bit of people there, to be honest.
How many people?
I'd say about 30.
Anybody you knew?
Quite a bit of people.
Of the 30 people there, how many people did you know?
I'd say at least 10.
But you indicate when you got there you did not see the defendant.
No, I wasn't paying attention to her at the particular time.
Well, you say that there were 30 people in the bar,
Correct.
10 of whom you knew, so you knew some people, and this was a former girlfriend of yours with whom you had been close association and intimate, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see her.
Well, they have a back patio, and then they also have the indoors and everything like that. And then they have a front area, too, as well, so.
Tell me, Mr. Self, when did you, in fact, see her?
It's when she was doing the bowling. And that was a little bit later on when I was playing pool.
About what time was that?
I don't know, probably like 7 or 8.
So you had been in the bar for between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're at the bar for 3 or 4 hours. And are your friends there, these 10 people that you knew?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to the breakup that you two had.
Gotcha.
Was it a mutual breakup?
So what ended up happening and everything like that, we had a disagreement on the 23rd in Norco, and she left me stranded there, so I had to get another friend give me a ride back to my residence.
I can't understand a word you're saying because you're speaking too fast.
On the 23rd,
Better.
she left me at a barbecue, and I had a friend give me a ride back to Riverside, California.
A friend who was at the barbecue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you were at a barbecue with her,
That's correct.
and that was how far away from where you were living in Riverside?
I'd say about 20 minutes away.
And your friend was at the barbecue, and after you had an argument with her, your friend took you home.
Prior.
No, not prior. Is that what you just said to me?
In Norco, California, is when she left me at a barbecue. And then at the bar, or when we were down in Huntington Beach on the 30th, she left me. I have video that shows all that.
All right. I asked you whether the breakup was acrimonious. So one time she left you at a barbecue where you knew somebody who drove you home.
Correct.
And you didn't stay in a motel, you didn't do
No, I
anything else.
didn't.
Okay, good. And then she did it again.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
And the second time was when?
It was on the 30th.
Okay. And that is the time when you say you had to spend some time over. So after she left you the second time,
Yes.
is that when you no longer communicated with her?
That's correct.
Did you say, why did you leave me? How dare you leave me? You didn't have any communication by text or phone or anything else, is what I'm asking you.
So her cousin's supposed to play in a band. We showed up late. She was upset and distraught about showing up late.
Who showed up late?
We did, because I was with her.
I just need a date of that,
On the 30th.
sir. I have on the 30th. So she was upset that you showed up late, and
We showed up late to her cousin's thing. They're supposed to be at 2 o'clock. We got there about 2:05. She's upset about that. When we were driving down the road, because we're trying to find parking, which everybody was around and everything, she was getting upset and getting angry with another driver, to the point where I had to pull the e-brake to stop the vehicle, as I thought she was going to run into it.
And then what
I tried to
happened?
de-escalate the situation as much as possible. Mind you, there's 2 minors are in the back.
I would just like to know, was the breakup, I'm trying to figure out, was the breakup acrimonious or mutual on the 30th? Who broke up with whom?
She left me.
She left you there.
That's correct.
On the 30th. After she left you there on the 30th, did you have any communication with her?
I was done with it.
Just a second. So after the 30th, you didn't see her or communicate with her until you saw her on August 2nd, is what you're saying.
Yes. I didn't see her again.
Didn't see her again or communicate with her from the 30th of July until August 2nd, a few days later.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I can look at my records right now to see, but I don't believe I gave her a call or anything like that.
Okay. And when you saw her at the bar that you were in, you saw her later between 6 and 7. She was bowling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
She was bowling. You were playing pool.
Correct.
And what this is about is your phone, which
Yes.
you're missing. So
Yes.
tell me about the phone, sir.
So I have a Note 10 Plus that was behind the bar at the time, instead of going to my vehicle, which I typically charge it from that.
Just a second. So you were charging your phone at the bar.
Correct.
When had you put the phone in to charge it?
Later on that evening, around 10, maybe 11, I'm guessing, because
10 or 11?
I'm
Just
guessing.
a second. 10 or 11. So,
Because there's a few times I actually go in there, I charge it, then I use it for a little bit.
well,
go back
but
there.
you saw it the last time.
I apologize for that.
Last time you saw it, you plugged it in. It was like 10 or 11. So now you've been in the bar from 4 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
And she was there, at least as far as you know, from about 7 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
Keep going.
So I charge it, and
What were you doing with the phone all evening?
talking, texting,
Hmm?
texting and stuff like that.
Texting.
Communicating, yes.
To whom?
friends.
Friends.
What's going on, you know, social media, all the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I was playing pool. I went outside, had a cigarette, and then that's when she, at 12:33 is when she ended up with her girlfriend looking around and all this other stuff. Like I stated before, I have the video that shows that on the camera. Would you like to see it?
So far, I'm not understanding you. So why don't you explain it to me, and then you can show it to me. So far, it's all a jumble. 12:30 at night.
12:33 is when she stole the phone.
Is when she stole the phone.
That's correct.
And you bought the phone when, sir?
About 2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know, I think like $800, $700.
Well, this is your case. How am I supposed to figure out? You're suing for a phone that she took. How am I supposed to figure out how much she owes you for the phone if she took it?
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it retails for about $1,200.
Show me.
So I got the case cover.
What kind of phone was it?
The Note 10 Plus.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is typically $395 to $512.
At this point in time, yes.
Well, that's what it would cost you to replace it.
Okay.
Now, you do not deny that you put your hands on his phone in a manner in which you intended to have it removed from his custody, which means, according to you, you took the phone out of the charger and threw it in the trash or trash someplace. So far, Mr. Self, the defendant acknowledges that she took the phone and trashed it.
All right.
And I want you to make sure that you answer my questions carefully. While you were at the bar between 7 and 12, did you ever show anyone at the bar a photograph of the defendant?
No, I did not.
Now I'll hear you.
So I got to the bar around 8:30 because I played darts that night. I did not see the plaintiff. I was playing bowling. There was an arcade game. And when he came in, he started showing videos of me.
That's incorrect.
Don't speak. There is a protective order in place, and if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service, you better do so. In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
David Self claims his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, owes for a phone and gas money. Joangela is countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you see him showing videos of you to anyone at the bar?
I saw him showing videos.
But didn't see what they were?
No.
I would never do such a thing. Apologize.
Could you stand up, please? Absolutely. Do you know Mr. Self?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Amy.
Amy what?
Clack.
Were you at the bar on the 2nd of August?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, she's a friend of mine.
And what about Mr. Self? How do you know him?
As her ex-boyfriend.
Be careful of what you answer me. Did you see what Mr. Self was showing on his phone?
I did not see what he was showing on his phone. I saw him showing the phone, and I had friends who came up to me to see if I had seen it.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
Understand.
You can sit down. Now, Ms. Stroger, your answer, and of course your counterclaim, involved the fact that Mr. Self was showing intimate pictures of you that he had maintained on his phone. So far, we don't have a witness to that. So what I want you to tell me is whether or not you personally had a conversation with Mr. Self about those videos on that night on August 2nd.
I asked him not to show video of me around the bar that night.
You did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, because he approached me.
Put your hand down. I want you to tell me about the conversation.
He approached me basically...
I don't want to hear basically.
He approached me
what time?
saying hi about 9:30 that night. Approached me saying hi. I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, that I had seen him showing videos, and that I was told that it was sexual videos of myself.
And what did he say?
He said he can do what he wants with his phone, and walked away.
Do you recall that conversation, Mr. Self?
There was no conversation that took place. The only video...
No. Slowly. There was no conversation,
There was no conversation
that
whatsoever
took place.
that took place about anything like that. What video I did have was her being irate over there in Huntington Beach. So if you'd like to see that too as well.
No, I'd like to see the videos that she says that you have of her on your phone.
I don't have any videos of her like that on my phone.
Did you delete them?
I don't have...
Oh, he has a new phone. Got it. He has just on them. He has a new phone. Well,
I did have a letter stating that he did get the backup and he's got all the videos again.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I do have a backup. Once I...
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to my boss at 1:30 in the morning. 2:43, sorry.
Mr. Self, this was sent by you to her boss on the 9th of August.
Okay.
Would you tell me the purpose of sending this letter to her boss?
She does very good at showing that she's a good person and all the other good stuff.
No, I don't think, listen to me. I don't necessarily think anything.
Okay.
I think any woman that allows photographs to be taken of her, intimate photographs that she would not want put on the, I'm speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking that she would not want posted on the front page of a local newspaper.
Correct.
I think that that's foolish.
Yeah.
गाड़ी पंच करे थी कि में गई है मेरी गाड़ी पंच के थी कराई नहीं जल्दी मेरी अच्छा खैर वाला ये मौके जन जवाब ली थी मैं को चंगी भली मंदल दे करे यार मैं चलो गोदे न प्राप्ति करेंगे गोदा काम करेंगे ना पहले था तो गुआ था गोदा नहीं बेटा हां ये भी नहीं टैंकी जनाब है ये पता नहीं वो केरी ज्यादा टैंकी जनाब है कितना है खाली कोई इल्म कहीं नहीं गोदे दादा फैजान भाई को कितना मिले ये शॉपिंग हुई ना करे ना बताया आपने या ये वे काका आई कहने को बताओ या रोल गया काका थोड़ा नहीं रोल गया काका गल भर गई मैंने ये इलावा तो उधर क्या वो तनूर लाया उन्हें वो काम बनेगा तनूर छोड़ गए वो ना सर ने चाहते थी घोड़ी वो बयान गाई घंटी वाला तेशी वाला कांडी तवारी सारा काम करेंगे जवान इो जहाँ काम थे जवान का छोड़े थी ना सिर हूँ तक दाड़ लाई छिड़े ना वो ना सिर हाँ तो ताज़ा करे ने ऊपर देखूँगा कितना मुकाला मुझे अच्छा खैर खड़े जाए मौके पे आगे नगर जुलू आना है तू खत्म कर सकेगा वो संचारी मल्ली जना लाई ये हूँ लगा ही इदा ही धक्का लगा सारा मैं तो पीर दा ले पीर कितना है मेरा तू जइया तू निकल गया नहीं मेरा पीर को तो मिलना पीर वैसे तो मिल जाए क्या वजह पीर मिल जाए क्यों इदा ही होना नेट से होना ना मैं ठीक है नेट की घट वा दूंगा ये फोन का इदा ही थे पहले एक छोटा तकरीबन हवा घट की दी वधी बस गुजारा है पाकिस्तान है हूँ आज मेरे को अगली दे कोई वजह है समय नहीं लग रही कोई आज मेरे को आपको समय नहीं लग रही क्या थी ना पता सवेर नाल तखीर थी है मेरे घर सवेर नाल जो नहीं बंदे का थी ना बस देन की गल लाने में कटनी है ब्याह कम कहें नहीं बस ये कम लाने में तेरा करना है करो अगे आँदी भी गल मजाक शजाक की हूँ पहले देन की गल है पिछे भी गल है इवें नहीं थी अच्छा